Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Show Me How It's Done. I'm your host, Lauren Bonus, and I am here in Canada. If you have any questions or if you need a catalog, I can certainly get you on my mailing list for the one that's coming out next month. So today I have a really special set of projects. I'm hosting tonight a class based on the On the Horizon suite. So I'm using the stamp set, the dies, and the paper, and I thought it would be really fun to share with you guys a couple of the projects that we're going to be doing tonight. So if you're joining that class, you can either watch this or you can wait. It's totally up to you. But your materials are all prepped and ready to go, and you're going to stamp along with me tonight. I do have some specialty cards that are exclusive to my class, but the 3 cards that I'm showing you today are basically just a nice progression of using the On the Horizon DSP and the stamp set, and give you a little set of ideas for you to use as you're playing with this. So here's just a glimpse of some of the paper. You can see just how beautiful the imagery is already. And these are just the papers I didn't use for my class. These are the extra ones that I have yet to turn into projects. But I have no doubt that you're going to fall in love with them as we go. So if you would like to join me, you're going to need a few things. You will need a Blackberry Bliss ink, Evening Evergreen, Early Espresso, and Misty Moonlight. Okay, so you'll need those 4 inks if you'd like to follow along, and I also will give you the measurements for the cards as we go. Okay, you're going to definitely need the On the Horizon stamp set, and there are some dies, so you can also look and see how I've used the dies to build my card projects as well. So let's get going. If you own this and if you own the paper, you're good to go. So card number 1, here we go. Sorry, move on my pieces. There we go. Card number 1 is this very simple card. I have taken a piece of designer series paper and I'm simply going to stamp on it in order to get some really nice images on my card. So 3 pieces that you'll need to prep are a card base. This is 5.5 by 8.5 with a score mark at 4 1/4. We've got a nice piece of ivory for the inside of our card. That's going right in here. And this is going to measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. And the front designer series paper is 4 inches by 5 1/4 as well. So let's worry about our stamping first, and then we'll attach everything. So I am using 1 color ink for this card. I'm going to use my Blackberry Bliss, and I've got my very dirty looking chamois all ready to go because I'm going to need to clean my stamps as we go. All right, so Blackberry Bliss, open that up. I'm going to start with my little tree line of stamps. So ink that up nice full strength, and you see this kind of little horizon that this piece has. I'm going to stamp right along that in full strength. That will give me a nice set of trees. Now right beside it, I'm not going to ink up my stamp again. I'm just going to stamp the same stamp, which will come out a little lighter right beside it. Okay, so I've got kind of 2 tones of my inks now. Now I will once again re-ink on my ink pad. Here, I'll put it here so you can see when I'm re-inking. There we go. And this is going to go now on the left-hand side. So I've left a little bit of a gap here because I want it to almost look like a river kind of flowing through. So we've got our second set in full strength. We're going to ink up again and go full strength beside that. Now I'm not going full strength. I'm going to stamp in between these 2 sets of trees like so. So I've got a really nice depth of perception. I've got some trees that look like they're close, some that look like they're further away or maybe in the mist, and that's the exact image I'm looking for. So the next stamp I want is this grassy looking one. I'm going to stamp that just right at the bottom of my page. Gives me just something fun to work with. If you own the pebble embellishments, these guys here, you could always add a couple to the bottom, but I'm trying to make a nice series of cards so you can see like a progression. So this is a very simple card, simply stamping. That's the key with this one. So now we're going to do some birds. Keep in mind the birds are very deceiving. If you have them upside down, at first glance they look like birds, but make sure they're facing the right way. Your bird should be flying nicely towards the top right of your page. Okay, so there's my little birdies. And for my sentiment, I like the relax and enjoy your day. So we're just going to add that right up here. Okay, so I'm not going to clean off those stamps simply because I'm going to use them right on my next card again. After we do the next card, we'll have to clean them. So the easiest way for you to attach these is with some sort of flat adhesive, whether you're a tape person or a seal, that's totally up to you. But we're not actually using any dimensionals on this card. It is a simply stamping card. Okay. So I'm putting this piece on the front of my Blackberry Bliss cardstock. Sorry, I didn't mention that one. Blackberry Bliss cardstock. And very vanilla, or ivory as I like to call it, inside. Oop. Throwing my backings all over the place. There we go. There we go. Card number 1. Quick, easy, but stunningly beautiful. I didn't have to do much because the paper just speaks for itself. It's so fun. So here is card number 1 for you. Now card number 2, I actually made with the remainder of, do you see how these connect? Of this piece, because I didn't actually need the whole thing. So I'm using leftover paper from card number 1 in order to make card number 2. So let me give you those dimensions because you can see I did make a smaller kind of card because I wanted kind of a note card, just something fun and cute. Okay, so this is a full-size card. Here we go. So we will need to cut a few things. The first one being your very vanilla card base. So it's cut a little smaller. I decided to go with 5.5 by 7, and I scored at 3.5. And then on the front, I did a little embossing. So I used the, I think it's a textured textile folder or something. It's just a very subtle background image. I didn't want it to take away, but I also wanted something to kind of draw you in. So that's what I did for my card front. Now for the inside of my card, I have a piece of Blackberry Bliss and a piece of Very Vanilla. So the Blackberry Bliss is going to be my first layer, and this one is actually going to be 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. The coordinating ivory then is going to be 3 by 5. So you can go ahead and attach those inside while we're thinking about it. I have used just a flat tape for my card. we go. So there's the inside of my card. Very simple, easy to do. Now on the outside of my card, I'm not going to attach these two yet because I like to do my stamping while the card is off of the base. But you can go ahead and do your cuts now. So one piece of Blackberry Bliss, and this one is going to be 2 1/4 by 5 1/4, which means this little piece is 2 inches by 5. Okay, so this one is the piece that we're worrying about at the moment. Because it is a cast off from one of our other papers, it doesn't have that kind of nice horizon look, so we're just going to make our own. That's okay. We're going to grab our Blackberry Bliss ink once again and do some stamping. So I'm grabbing my tree line to start, and I'm going to go on this right hand side and leave a little tiny space in the bottom because I do want a sentiment of sorts. So I'm not going right on the bottom of the page, probably about 1/4 of an inch above the bottom. Do nice full strength trees. And then I'm going to do another set of full strength trees right beside it. So they almost, you can kind of overlap maybe two of those end trees. Now before I ink again, we are stamping off to continue that line. So we've got kind of 3 modes here. And I'm not even gonna ink again. I'm just gonna stamp in a couple different places in between tree lines. So whatever ink is left on my stamp is coming off subtly in the backgrounds. It looks like I've got some shadows. You can barely see it, but there's a little tree. There's a little tree. So it's just very subtle, something kind of nice to draw your eyes into. So for my sentiment, I really liked the word breathe. It was just small and easy to use. Of course, there are some other ones in the set, but I thought this would be an easy one to put in the bottom right hand side so that I have just something on there. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I'm actually going to attach these little trees. So these are one of the die cuts from the set, the On the Horizon, this guy right here. So you cut it out in one shot. You could always do little houses or some grass too, but I'm going to do the trees. And I cut that out in Blackberry Bliss just to once again keep with the theme of my cards. But I lost, where's my little trees? There they are. Hi, there we go. So I'm going to take these little trees and I'm going to pop them up on dimensionals. However, you will quickly notice the dimensionals are a little too big for the trees. So they actually fit on like these 2 trees. But then I had to come and take my scissors and cut my little dimensionals straight in half so that I can actually finish the rest of this section. So you just need a couple more hiding in here. Don't need them everywhere, but a couple is good. Okay, and we're gonna put these little guys up on our card. So I'm popping those just right in the bottom of this left-hand section. And because we're using a Blackberry frame around them, they will tie in really nicely. You almost think this is a hill, kind of 2 dimensions, but this is the same color and it just really ties that together. So here's my little trees. The reason I did that first, because now when I come in with my birds, I can make sure I'm not covering any of the birds with that tree stamp. Okay, so you can actually see this weird kind of like dent in the bird stamp. That one lines up perfectly with the top of your tree. So go ahead and just stamp that right like so. So now you can close up your ink, and I do suggest once we're done this project, you give your stamps a clean because we're going to need them for the next one. But I will do that in a minute. So I'm going to turn this piece over and use a flat adhesive to attach my designer paper to the Blackberry. like so. And then I'm going to use dimensionals to pop this piece up on the front of my card. It just is bringing it to life a little bit more. We've done the same idea of simply just stamping, but on this card now we're elevating it by adding that little decal from the die cuts, and we're adding my favorite thing in the world, which is dimensionals, to the card to just bring it to life a little bit more. Okay, so on your card, I decided not to put it right in the middle. It would probably look just fine if you did that, but I wanted it to have just a slight border on the left and the right and the top. And then whatever space is left in the bottom is just the space that's left. Okay, so you're more concerned about just having a tiny little border all the way around here. So I loved this card like it was, but I thought with the natural tones and kind of the theme of the paper, I was going to bring in some linen thread. So I'm making a little bow. I'm going to have 2 pieces of string that are exactly the same length. So however long you need to make these, go for it. I made them about 8 inches for my kits just so that the ladies had lots to work with when making a bow, but you can certainly work with less. So we're going to just take our string and make a little bow. Make sure both your pieces are together because it makes that double bow for you. So make a really large bow and then you can trim it down like so. There we go. Okay, so I've got it kind of the size that I'd like it. So I'm going to trim these edges. And now the easiest way to put this on my card is going to be with a glue dot. So let me grab one of those. If I have my roll in front of me, I like to just put my bow or image right on top of the glue dot. And then I just pull it straight off and I can attach it to my card. Okay, and you can even make this a little smaller once it's on if you feel like you need to. And trim it again. There we go. Easy peasy. So really, really cute card. Same color scheme and idea as the one before, but this time we've added that little decal, we've added a bow, added a little embellishment. Okay, so here is card number 2. Now I have one more for you. I hope I'm not overwhelming you because usually we only do one project during our videos, but these ones were so tiny that I just thought it'd be fun to do more. So I'm going to show you one more, and I hope you like it. So this last one is this card here. So I'm using basically the same techniques as we have with this previous card, and I'm almost using the exact same layout. The only difference is I'm now adding one of the die cuts, which is this wood piece, and some of the embellishments. Okay, so we've got kind of 3 stages of our project today. So let me grab, sorry, I need to grab all my pieces out. Here we go. Good. Okay, and I need to clean. I'm sorry. Okay, quickly clean, because we're using the same things again, but in a different ink. So for your inks for this one, this is where I'm using Early Espresso, I'm using Evening Evergreen, and I'm using Misty Moonlight up here. The other piece I guess that you're going to need to do is this little wood stamp. So if you own the dies, life will be easy because you quickly stamp this either in like a soft suede or crumb cake, and you can use the die that coordinates to cut it out. Or your life has to be a little more challenging. If you only own the stamp, you just have to fussy cut around this. Okay, so let's do our stamping first. Once I give you some measurements, I guess that would help, hey? Okay, card base. This is a nice standard card. So this is 4¼ by 11, and I've done a score mark at 5½. Now on the inside of this, I'm going to add a little bit of definition. So I've got a piece of evening evergreen that is 4 by 5¼ and a piece of vanilla, which is 3¾ by 5. So you can go ahead and attach those two together and put them on the inside of your card. I need to get a new roll of tape soon. This one seems like it's running out. See if it survives the video. All right, do that quickly. One thing you can always do too is you can come back to your cards and add maybe one of those tree stamps to this page on the inside. It would look really sharp. I think I might have even done that on this sample here. We'll open it up and see. Yes, I did. Okay, there. See? That tree line looks really nice if you add it to the inside of your card. So hopefully I remember, and we will do that as we're building this one. Okay. Inside is done. I'm going to leave that open so I remember to add some trees. But let's get these other two pieces cut for you while you are going. Okay, so we need a piece of evening evergreen. This is going to be 2¾ by 5¼ and a piece of designer series paper, which is 2½ by 5. Okay, and just a little sneak peek for you. You guys unfortunately don't get to make this unless you're coming to the class, but look how gorgeous this side is. I used that piece to make this fun pop-up card that we're making tonight. So if you're anywhere in Canada, you can still sign up for the class. It is $50 and it includes the stamp set. But if you own that already, message me. We'll figure something out to substitute for you. But it includes 5 projects, 2 of the fun folds, and then these 3, and maybe a couple little treats in your bag too. So here we go. Here's your piece. We're going to do our stamping. So I have laid this down in front of me, and I need my green. Where are you? Here we go. Evening evergreen is what I'm going to use. So open that up and grab your tree line right here. So in full strength, I'm going to stamp just right in this division between the sky and the grass in full green. And then just like we've been doing in all the other projects, I'm going to just move the stamp over so that that lighter color kind of shines through in the back there. And while I've got my green trees, let's add that to the inside of the card here. And you're good to go for that piece. Now, keeping your green open, you're going to grab the little grass piece, and you'll notice this stamp is too long for the little strip you have, but that's okay. It's going to just come off the edge a little, and that's just fine. Okay, so there's your greenery. Put that to the side. Now you will need to switch ink colors because we're going to add some birds, but I thought it was nicer to add the birds in blue, just because they can match the sky then. Okay, so we're using Misty Moonlight for our blue. Once again, making sure your birds are facing the right way. You're just putting them kind of in the top left of your project, right there. Okay, so you now will have to take a moment and stamp this piece of wood and then cut it out. I have that all done, so I'm just going to have to stamp a sentiment onto it. And I decided to use the early espresso ink because I really like the brown tones with this, but you could of course use the blue or the green, or even maybe you want Blackberry Bliss. That's fine too. So I'm keeping with my relaxed theme, and I'm going to put that right in the middle of my sentiment, or my little wood. There you go. So relax and enjoy your day. I like this because I thought it could be a very nice masculine card. The other two are very pinkish and kind of feminine, but this is very masculine in my mind. So I need to work on stocking up on those kind of cards too. Okay, so I've got all these little pieces. Let's start building our card. So I'm going to mount my designer paper to that background just with a flat adhesive. So using some tape for me, some seal maybe for you. Just a tape person. It's quick and easy for me. There we go. And this one now I'm popping up on dimensionals and putting that onto the front of our card. I'm just going to put that into the corner here. And now we get to do that same fun thing with these trees where we cut dimensionals in half so that they fit on the strip. You know, if I wasn't so attached to height and dimension, I could easily just use glue, but I like dimension on my stuff. So I'm going to sacrifice and do it. All right, one more. There you go. So I've got all my little pieces for this skyline. This would be a fun one too if you wanted to try something different. You could use maybe those little houses, but I'm just going nature-wise here. Okay, so here's my card. Just keep in mind your green piece will come off the sides here. So long as it doesn't pass this edge, you're fine. You just want to make sure it still stays in an envelope for you. Okay, so there's your little trees. Now for your relax, because we've popped this one up, we don't want this to be tilted. So we're not going to put dimensionals all over it. We're only going to put dimensionals under the section with the R and the E, like on this left-hand side. Okay, so just keep this in mind, flip it over, only putting dimensionals on this left-hand side of the project, like that, so that when I attach it, I don't have my sentiment tilted in a weird, funky way, okay? So it's only actually attaching to this greenery right here, like so. And if you'd like, you can grab that twine once again. Make sure you've got two nice long pieces to make a bow with. And trim those edges really nicely. There we go. Okay, so once again with my glue dot on the roll, pull it off. And this one I decided looked really nice kind of on this edge here. Now I did want to bring in my little pebble enamel shapes. So you can see I've used quite a few of them already. I've kind of chopped some, and I'm just going to put some down in this space over here. And there's 3 main colors in the set, so as long as you kind of use them nicely together, I think you'll be quite happy. Okay, so there we go. There's our little enamel shapes, and there's our completed card. There. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the progression of the cards today. We went from a very simple stamping on the paper to adding a little bit to that, to adding even more and enamels. in just kind of a nice progression. I did promise you a sneak peek, so you saw the mountain card. This is the other card that we're doing tonight. So again, those of you who are joining me, I'm excited to see you. And I do have a couple extra kits prepped. So if you're in Canada and you want one, message me and we'll get it mailed to you. I have a video tutorial that I will be filming, and then you can complete the cards anytime. But before I let you go, where did you go, mister? There we go. I just got my paper pumpkins in for March. This one here. So those of you who don't know, March is Stampin' Up's Paper Pumpkin birthday. So they give you not only one stamp set, but they give you 2 stamp sets in the kit just as a thank you for being a subscriber. So usually we get a little stamp set like so. This one's cute. It's got hello, thinking of you, congrats, little note. But then for their birthday celebration, they also sent out this one. So I've got a whole nother set of flowers and sentiments to use. And what I like and what I had to point out is, look, it coordinates with the On the Horizon suite. So 2 of the papers you can distinctly see have that same kind of grassy and mountainous feel. And then this one's kind of just using the color scheme. But it's a really great kit. We'll have to wait and see if there's refills available, but I do always order a couple extras. So if you missed out, I can get you one. They're $33 if you're picking up here in Edmonton from me, or we can mail it to you as well. There's some ribbon too. I don't know where that came from. Don't even see it on the projects. Oh, here. Can use it as a little embellishment. So it's a really nice kit if you're looking for more details and ideas to do with this. So there you go. Thanks so much for joining me. And I did mention, if you need an annual catalog, I have to have my mailing sector submitted by the end of this month. So let me know if you're outside of Edmonton and you don't have a demonstrator, need your address so that I can get you a catalog. And they should arrive end of April, beginning of May for you. But let me know. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys later. Bye.